What's going on YouTube? This is Proud Tycoon bringing you a different video today. Now, recently Nintendo has released the Pokédex 3D Pro app for the 3DS, and it's definitely on the pricey side, but it has some interesting ideas in it. And then it got me thinking, what Nintendo could do with a Pokemon game on 3DS. So I kind of just want to, give you guys a video with my ideas of the different things that Nintendo could do with a 3DS Pokemon game. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get the obvious stuff out the way. They could definitely utilize both Street Pass and Spot Pass for a 3DS Pokemon game. So for Street Pass, what you could do is you could assemble a team and have them kind of battle, other people automatically, similar to Street Fighter trophies in the Super Street Fighter 4 for 3DS. Another feature they could add is giving away items, similar to Kid Icarus for 3DS, where you had the weapon gems. You took a weapon, you turned it into a gem, and then whenever you street pass with someone, they got that gem. Well, they could probably do a similar thing with Pokemon for 3DS. Maybe like a rare item. Probably put some restrictions on it, like no Master Balls, but I definitely think that would also be a nice little touch for Street Pass. Now, Spot Pass is a lot more straightforward. It's all you really have to do is improve the online, which was already given to us with the latest Pokemon games on the DS. Because by the time pretty much Black and White came out, the online for Pokemon was actually pretty good. It had a lot of features, and it was definitely some cool stuff going on there. Now, the most obvious thing that comes to mind is the global trade system and how that could improve from the Spot Pass. Instead of having to go into the Pokemon game, access the online and everything, you could just see the if your Pokemon was traded through Spot Pass, it just automatically happens. Like you wake up, you got the Pokemon you asked for, and all that good stuff. Another cool thing they can do with Spot Pass is what they've already done basically, but just be a lot better with Spot Pass, is where Nintendo takes the top trainers in the world, distributes them so you can fight their teams. You can fight their Pokemon with their moves. I definitely think they could do that a lot better on the 3DS, and they can make it like a daily occurrence, with similar to what they did with Mario Kart. Aside from Street Pass and Spot Pass, the next most obvious thing is the graphics. We've basically been playing with the same graphics, art style, and animations since the Game Boy Advance, and that's quite sad. Now, I understand some people like the 2D sprites, and some people would like to see the series go into 3D models similar to what they've done with home console games in the past. Personally, I don't care what they do, I just really want to see an improvement. But let's go ahead and talk about how they could improve the 2D sprites if they stick with that. If they stick with the 2D sprites, I definitely want to see something sharp and crisp, kind of similar to The World Ends With You. Maybe something along that art style even. Just something that looks really sharp and crisp if they stick with 2D sprites. Or maybe something that's borderline, anime, like Tales of Vesperia looked. And if they do decide to go with 3D models for a 3DS Pokemon game, I'd be perfectly fine if they look like they do in the Pokédex 3D Pro app. But what's even more important than the art style and the graphics of it is the battle animations. This has been killing me for a while now that we've been dealing basically with the same battle animations for uh, as long as Pokemon's existed, basically. The battles just feel so static and lifeless and boring. Your Pokemon just stands there. With the recent games they added, movements. They kind of like move around a little bit, but the battle animations themselves are just so boring to watch. They really are. I want something a step in the right direction along the lines of Pokemon Battle Revolution, where you would actually in a way see your Pokemon run up and like hit the other Pokemon. I want something like that, but a step further. The next most obvious thing they need to improve is the sound for these Pokemon games. Now, they don't really need to change around the music, but the battle cries of these Pokemon just sound so outdated, especially when I was sitting there in my Pokedex 3D Pro app and just going through looking at these models of 3D Pokemon, and then I listened to the battle cry. It just did not fit at all. And for something else I'd like to see voice acting in the next Pokemon game. Not so much for your character, your main character, but for everyone else in the game. I just think that would be a nice little touch and add a bit more depth to the games. The next thing I'm going to mention is not really too obvious, but definitely something I think would be a nice touch for all of us Pokemon fans out there, is more cutscenes. They had a couple in Black and White too, and they were very cool, but I definitely want something a bit better than that. Like basically I want something on the caliber of that Pokemon animated trailer that they showed us for Black and White 2. It just looked amazing, it looked badass, it made the game just look totally awesome, and I wish we had Pokemon cutscenes like that within the games. Another thing I'd like to see for the Pokemon games that hit the 3DS, I want the Pokedex to be on par or better than the Pokedex 3D Pro app. Because this thing is actually pretty legit. It feels like a real Pokedex would. The Pokedex 3D Pro had a bunch of like small little features that were definitely cool, like how when you scroll through the different Pokemon, the Pokedex would say their names, then you'd see the Pokemon 3D model, you could make them do the pose, do the battle cry and all that stuff. But something that's really kind of annoyed me about the Pokedex 3D Pro is it's kind of similar to all the other Pokedexes in the sense of descriptions. How they only have like literally 1 or 2 sentences for the description of these Pokemon. For the next Pokemon game, I want the Pokedex to have like kind of more in-depth descriptions. Combine all the descriptions of past games. At least have like a good paragraph or so to really feel like you're getting some detail about these Pokemon that you encounter. And of course, I want to keep all the features of the Pokedex that were already in Black and White too, because it definitely had a lot of stuff in it. I just want the quality of it to be upped on the same level of the Pokedex 3D Pro. Now, for something that I really think could revolutionize Pokemon and push the series forward is augmented reality. Now, I know we've already got a little taste of that with the Pokemon Dream Radar, but I wasn't really feeling it there. I mean, they weren't really trying to pull it off in a traditional Pokemon sense. Now, quite honestly, I don't really know exactly how I would want them to pull this off, but I just think it would be really cool if you could just walk around in the real world and, encounter Pokemon through augmented reality and catch them that way instead of, just doing it through a traditional way that we've been doing for a while now. Now, I'm not saying they should just scrap the old way of catching Pokemon entirely, but I definitely want to see this at least as an option for the next Pokemon games that they make or whenever they get around to making Pokemon games for 3DS. Now, the rest of the stuff I want are just kind of features that have already been in past Pokemon games, but we just haven't really seen them. For example, Gold and Silver, you had 2 regions, 16 badges. Pokemon Battle Revolution, you could customize your trainer, buy him, different clothes and whatnot. Or also in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, how they had the Pokewalker. Now, I know the 3DS has a built-in pedometer, so I was kind of expecting some Pokemon game to take advantage of that. Instead of having the Pokewalker as a separate item, just use that system that's already in your 3DS, and you can use that pedometer to walk around, level up your Pokemon, and all that good stuff. I thought it was a good idea. I just haven't seen it since. That's something I'd like to see make a comeback as well. Now, I'm sure you guys have a bunch of different ideas yourself, and I know there's a lot of stuff I'm probably forgetting right now. But, I mean, those are just the things from the top of my head. Really, the potential for Pokemon games on 3DS are, like, so limitless. Like, seriously, the imagination is the only limitation for these people. And I definitely just want to see some of the stuff. There's just a bunch of small things they could do that would really push the series forward. And I think I've listed most of them. I just think it'd be so crazy if they added all the features I stated. But go ahead, leave your comments, respond to this video. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys want. If there's features that you want in there that I missed, go ahead and let me know. Anyways, this is Proud Tycoon, out.